Good evening, Pipe Pals. Stranger things have happened in these videos. Okay, tonight we'll see. First of all, let's start with the lay housekeeping. I am smoking a Falcon pipe. Well, I take that back. That's a correction. This is not really a Falcon pipe. This is a Kirstein or a Christine pipe. But it's very similar. And it's very, very, well, kind of retro. It's kind of an 80s kind of a thing, believe it or not. I think these maybe late 70s, 80s, when pipe smoking was, well, kind of maybe, I wouldn't say it was enjoying a renaissance. But I do believe that these pipes, I began to see them when I was, 13, 14, 15 in drugstores. And I kind of thought, whoa, that's different, kind of that modern, that mod looking kind of thing. Like, something like if James Bond had ever smoked a pipe, this would be like a Silver Shadow, the Silver Shadow pipe, to go perfectly with him driving in his Austin Healey down, with the windows down and the top down, and being all so elegant and so sophisticated, something like Q would have given this to Bond and said something like 007, be careful, smoking can kill. And then all of a sudden he shows that the pipe, when you turn it around, turns into like a little laser gun, or maybe it's some kind of a special hypodermic, or maybe it's a little telecommunication device. Hello, Chief, are you there? Well, tonight I am probably wondering where this video is going to go. We're smoking some Sillems Black. Been having a hankering for Sillems Black, and I just kind of thought that the topic that I want to talk about tonight it's like a Sillems Black kind of a night. Now I've got a light there, probably in the back there. If I pull my little head there this way, am I going to be able to do this to where I'm not? I have to think about post-production a lot. So some of you probably got a little bit of a halo. Maybe I got a little bit of a halo there. Unintentional. Anyway, I'm trying to backlit my green screen because I can't front light it very well. I'm trying to do this because I want to talk about a TV show that I have been hearing an awful lot about. And I'm sure a lot of you have been watching it for the last 2 years. I really feel a little guilty because I'm trying to get over bronchitis of all things. I've been sick with a mild case of the flu and bronchitis. Although I probably not the best thing in the world to be puffing on a pipe right now. But it's kind of just going to get me into the mood because I want to talk about Stranger Things. That's right, Stranger Things. That's a Netflix TV series. And I've been hearing an awful lot of really good things about the series. Excuse me. So I just thought, well, why not take a plunge and watch it and just see what all the excitement's about. Now, I have only watched all of season 1, and I'm kind of working through season 2. I didn't know there was a season 2. So anyway, I started taking a lot of mental notes during the first season, and so I'm adding to my mental notes on season 2. Now, some people say that Stranger Things is possibly an allegory for the political landscape that we find ourselves in today. Now, relax. I'm really not going to go politics. I'm not going to go political mode tonight. However, if you are interested in a rather interesting, insightful exegesis of how special things. Is it special things? Secret things? Yeah, special things, right? Now I'm kind of trying. I'm wondering. No, wait a minute. That doesn't sound right. Strange things, special things. Okay, it's one of those days. Okay, hey, I'm an old guy, and trying to stay current sometimes with a lot of the younger people's entertainment and things. Now I'm the kind of guy who probably is more at home watching, The Crown. Okay, that's more stuff that I'm probably a little more interested in, to be honest, and kind of stuff that's a little more historical and more of a documentary kind of a format. So anyway, and I've watched both seasons of The Crown, and that's another Netflix original. Really like that a lot. Kind of surprised how it seems that it's pretty historically accurate. I think John Lithgow, I know I'm getting a little aside here, but I just wanted to say that about The Crown. I think John Lithgow plays an incredible Sir Winston Churchill. I mean, who knew? I mean, I've never been a John Lithgow fan. I mean, he's always been kind of a, you either like him or you don't like. Well, he's one of those actors that you can either like, hate, or just kind of eh. And he's always been for me kind of eh. I've just never really been a big John Lithgow fan. But I have to tell you, I think his impersonation or his execution of the character Winston Churchill in The Crown is really, really good. Now, maybe some of you might want to choose to disagree with me. I hear Gary Oldman's done a Churchill movie, documentary-ish, historical retrospective on Churchill during the darkest hours, and I had some friends go watch it, and they said it was excellent. So I'm yet to see that one. But anyway, so it's hard to play a historical figure, especially one from recent history. Because a lot of the things that we think are kind of part and parcel of the person are really cliches of that person. So that's the problem. How do you get through the modern day cliche of this character to play the real person? So that's kind of a real challenge, I think, these days. But anyway, so I digress. So I was gonna take a little walk through. Oh, I was gonna say, if you're interested though in a more kind of a political expose on Stranger Things, Stefan Molyneux. Some of you are probably going to go, oh, you're probably doing it here, the sound of 1,000 head pats. Oh, no, not him. Well, anyway, I do watch some of his stuff from time to time, and I think he has some good insights. Not always, but sometimes I think he's pretty right on. And anyway, so if you wanted to, I think it's a 28-minute little talk about Stranger Things from his viewpoint. I think there's something to be said for what he has to say. So again, I'll put a link in the bucket below, and if you wanted to go check it out, you're free to do so. Okay, let's get on with it, shall we? Okay, so Stranger Things. Yeah, let's go into that upside down world, shall we? Yeah, there we go. Get that upside down machine going. There we go. Yeah, kind of get into that thing. Let's see. Maybe we do this. Siri. I'm sorry. Alexa, dim lights 50% in dining room.
Sorry, I didn't find lights.
Okay, try saying it. Alexa, dim dining room lights 50%. Let's see what this does. Okay, maybe that'll help set the mood. There we go. Okay, a little darker, a little more Stranger Things. Okay, get the Stranger Machine elements in the background there, the stuff that you kind of like, what if I breathe this stuff in, is it going to kill me? I mean, yeah, right. Okay. So here we are, and I wanted to just make some observations about Stranger Things. One of the things that I found kind of interesting was, at first, when the way you see the the advertisements for it on Netflix or on the internet, because sometimes they have internet commercials, as we all know now. Part of it was intriguing from a standpoint, they really got this atmospheric kind of quality, this metaphysical, atmospherical thing that it's capturing. It kind of captures your imagination. You don't know exactly why, but I go, that looks like an interesting TV show. But then when you put the little kids in front of it, to me it was like, well, is this really going to be something that's going to be really entertaining, or just kind of a kid show? I guess that's the thing. Is this going to be serious entertainment, or is it just going to be silly kid stuff? Okay, so that's what I was thinking. Okay, so I started thinking, well, I wanted to take a plunge and just kind of at least put my toe in, maybe watch one episode. And if it was just kind of a bunch of hokey little kids doing their little slapstick stuff and, potty mouth stuff like that, I'd just say, what a waste of time. I don't see what people see in that. Well, watch the first episode, and I have to say, I was hooked. One of the things I do like about it is that the story, it's got legs, it moves. You don't get kind of stuck on some, sometimes stories, they have to try to, okay, now we've got to figure out how we can get from point A to point B. How do we get from our A story to our B story, and then our C story, and then getting all the way back to our A story? It's like, and sometimes them trying to, it's like a Rubik's Cube, trying to watch them. Sometimes all you're doing is just kind of letting them set up for the next scene, really. And sometimes that can be really laborious and kind of tedious. And it's like, okay, we've been in this scene for 5 minutes now, and really it doesn't have a whole lot to tell me that I don't already know. So, but I like the fact that the story moves. It has movement. I don't think I've ever been sitting there going, oh man, when are they going to get through this part? Or what's going on here? This doesn't make any sense. There's been a few points where it kind of starts to do that, and all of a sudden, then it makes sense. Like, oh, okay, wait a minute, whoa. I need to. Sometimes I'd rewind and go, okay, I need to recheck that out, because I kind of thought it was mindless filler stuff, and it really wasn't. They were showing you clues and things like that. So again, the story, it doesn't get bogged down, and I think it moves really, really well. I love the dialogue between the kids, with the exception that sometimes I wish that they wouldn't, I wish they would just not have to take God's name in vain and things like that. Those are just little things. Well, they're not little things. For me, those are big things. Those are big things. But I don't see the point in them doing that. The only, guess the really bad expletive that they do use is the well, let's see. Anyway, it's just cursing, basic good old-fashioned cursing. And I understand people feel that they've got to make that so it gives you that sense of reality. But if they found a way to just, because the writing's actually pretty good, they could convincingly, and I think legitimately, not have to even use any profanity. Maybe a damn here and there, but that's basically, they could get away with that so easily, and it would just make it. I think it would just make it even more. How many people watch TV shows to see how many times they say the F word or the S word, or how many times they curse? Like, wow, this is really cool. I can't wait for the cursing. You wouldn't even notice it if they didn't do it. Now, some people might say, oh, that's too Pollyannish, and that's not the real world and all that. But I don't know. I know. I'm starting to see a lot more YouTubers that don't cuss. They don't cuss in their videos. And I know I've been on this before, and some of you got on me and called me an old fuddy-duddy, and get out of the grow up, or get with the 21st century. This is the way real people talk now. Well, I don't talk that way, But anyway, and I'm just saying there are a lot of YouTubers that I watch. Of course, some of you would say, well, that's those people they're not real either. Well, yeah, I think they're real. They're, they have blood circulating through their veins, and they don't cuss. There's no need to. So anyway, I'm just saying that if they had that one little impediment, I think the show would be for me, I think I'd give it an 8 for sure. It'd go maybe to a 9.5 if they just didn't have that. Because it's just a little bit of it's a turnoff for me. Okay, got that out of my system. Thanks. Okay, so some of the things that I really like about the show was there's lots and lots and this is weird because, and I'm going to explain this in a minute, why I don't even know why this even works, because normally stuff like this just doesn't work. But, okay, there are a lot of echoes in the cast, in the story, in the composition that are all have kind of like, they have echoes of other greater stories or storylines or films or whatever. Now, the first character that caught my attention, I mean, the kids, of course, kids are kids, and kind of like, okay, this is the smart kid, this is the kind of the awkward kid, this is the black kid, this is the, everybody had to have their little stereotype kids in there, the weak kid, and I guess all of them were kind of nerdy kids, so they're all kind of being picked on and they're being bullied and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of right off the bat kind of know that these are the kids that are into science and technology, and back then in the 80s, it was sort of like considered, the Radio Shack geek kids, with the pocket protectors, and, they're building their Tandy computers at home and all that kind of stuff. Okay, they're the kids that, they're into what they're into. They could care less about anything else. They're not jocks. They don't care about that. They don't care about going to dances. They don't care about going to parties, man, just show me, what is it, some Apple meetup or some computer hobby club meetup, and that's where they're at, or astronomy or stuff like that, or, building radios and stuff like that. They're into that stuff. So they're the geek kids, and so they're okay. So yeah, those are the kids you first meet. But the character that stood out to me at first was the Hopper guy, the chief of police guy. Okay, he looks and sounds like he could be Harrison Ford's long-lost brother. And he kind of has that same demeanor as a Han Solo, Indiana Jones, kind of I really don't care what you think, I'm going to do my job, and, and if you get in my way, well, you know what, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm going to do my job. So, I kept thinking, well, he sounds like Harrison Ford. He kind of looks like Harrison Ford. But here's the thing. He wasn't really trying to be a Harrison Ford or even an Indiana Jones, but he kind of falls into that, what do we say, that, I don't want to say stereotype, but he kind of is reminiscent. That's what I want to say. He's reminiscent of that kind of a character. Okay. Now, the real reason why, we watch, Stranger Things is, of course, Winona Judd. Winona Ryder. Got that mixed up. Winona Ryder. That's the reason why we really watch Stranger Things. That's right. That's why we all do it, right? Right? Am I right? Okay. Well, I don't know. 40 plus year old gals, I guess, maybe are more appealing to my generation than yours. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I'm just, Anyway, nice character. At first, kind of a little bit hard on the, I think that the only character that I liked the character, but for the first few seasons, it always seemed like she was always on one setting, which was being irate and flipping out all the time. Just like that's her standard mode of, I'm a weird, kind of a weird, single mom, and I'm kind of a neurotic, So after a while there, I'm going, if this person, that's all they do, I'm really probably not going to really, But again, that didn't turn me off on the program. Okay, so I kept watching, and again, she had some different phases of, interacting with her world and with the other characters, which made it a little more palatable and believable. And there were some really good moments for me, going, okay, this is a good character. I can really support this character, and I can, really begin to like this character and see them as a real part of the story. But there were lots of things that the story overall began to, all these little echoes from, and not just movies, not just TV shows, but video games. And one of the things that first hit me was I go, this whole thing, this whole secret lab, something's really going bad in this lab, and what's going on here, and what have we gotten ourselves into, and and all this stuff. It reminded me of a game called, back in the late 90s, called Half-Life. I'm sure many of you out there who were gamers know about Half-Life. And it was by Valve production company or something like that, a computer software company, Valve. Anyway, and I remember, playing that game, not really getting too far into it, because I don't have a lot of time. I start a game and I probably go maybe 2 or 3 levels, and then it gets put on the shelf for a year, and then when I go on vacation next year, I try to pick up or buy a new one, and I don't know how kids can get through some of these games. Because all the levels and all the sophistication that you have to have. You almost have to have like a PhD in gameology to even play these things these days. It's just incredible. So anyway, but the storyline especially reminded me of Half-Life. That, something has gone awfully wrong in this laboratory, and all hell's breaking loose, literally. Another interesting game, and of course I'm going to get into this a little bit later, is BioShock. The little girl, Elle, kind of is reminiscent of this game called BioShock, where you're trying to get through this really strange world. You're trying to find this guy who's supposedly like real evil villain and something. You're trying to basically take him out before he takes out and destroys the world, kind of thing. And every now and then this little girl thing, figurine or something, kind of guides you or helps you or something. And I can't remember the game. I played it. It was one of those weird games. Actually, it was one of the few games that I never quite finished it. I almost finished it. But, and I even talked to a friend about this. And that game, this is a little scary to say this. It almost seemed like it kind of altered your sense of reality for a while. I kind of felt that it wasn't that healthy because I just got caught up in this world. And after a while, I could notice that, when I quit the game and just kind of go back to real life, the game kind of haunted me a lot, even in my dreams. So it was kind of an eerie kind of a feeling, and I kind of got very uncomfortable playing it. So I didn't play it for, I got pretty close. Maybe it was like 2 or 3 chapters away from the final, but I just had this uneasy feeling, and I just quit. But anyway, again, this little girl in the Stranger Things kind of is reminiscent of this little video character in this game. But again, I think all of us, if you've watched the series, can clearly see things like E.T. Come on. At first, that's what it kind of looks like. It's almost like they've adapted E.T. For television in some ways. It's kind of the same story. A lot of it, you find this strange persona. E.T. is an extraterrestrial persona. But this little Elle, or 11, she's a little weird, strange persona. And he finds her and brings her home just like Elliot does with E.T. and puts him in his bedroom and feeds him, instead of Reese's Pieces, I guess he feeds her Eggos. Legos, not Legos, Eggos. Yeah, I guess that's one of those. Never did Eggos. I was never an Eggo kind of a guy. But anyway, I can see what the appeal probably would be. Lots of starch and sugar. Yum. Okay. And then there was another movie that came out back in 2013. Yeah, called Super 8. Again, very similar. A lot of the elements in Stranger Things, kind of seems to be some elements of Super 8. Again, there was something in some strange laboratory that broke out and is threatening the city, and these boys have to figure out where it lives, and and they band together, these little musketeers, and they band together to, find find the alien. And then another thing that I will say, and some people may choose to disagree with this one, but I think Stranger Things even has a Lord of the Rings feel to it. I mean, again, all of these things kind of are like a tapestry of themes and variations. And why I say the thing about, the Lord of the Rings is because they kind of, the kids band together like the Fellowship of the Ring, And in some ways I can even say a little bit, this is a bit of a stretch, but we even have a Hobbit, do we not? In the movie, in Stranger Things, we got Samwise. Good old Sean Astin is there. Not Austin Powers, but Sean Astin, the original Samwise from the Lord of the Rings. So you got these elements all interacting, kind of, weaving in and out. It's the warp and woof of Stranger Things, or Strange Things. Is it Stranger Things? Strange Things. Anyway, so I think that's, for me, those are some of that's why it appeals to me. Not so much that I'm consciously saying, oh, they're kind of, lifting a theme out of, Super 8, or now they're trying to be like, Lord of the Rings, or now they're trying to be like E.T., or now they're trying to be like Star Wars, I mean, I don't know if there's any, I'm sure that there's even some Star Wars elements in there as well, again, in some ways you've got, Han Solo character there, Indiana Jones, more like an Indiana Jones character in this guy, the sheriff. But the thing is that they've got some interesting, a good storyline, and it works. So it's very entertaining. If they come out with a season 3, I'm sure I'll watch that after I get through season 2. But I just thought it was I just think it's a very interesting thing. I think probably, now I'm not a big 80s person. I guess there are some people now who look at the 80s the way I used to look at the 60s and 50s, somehow nostalgically. I have to say I'm not really all that nostalgic for the 80s, because I don't think it was that far a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, although it actually was. One of the things that is interesting, and I might be getting a little bit a far afield here, maybe not too far afield, but another movie that has been floating in my mind all through watching Stranger Things is The War of the Worlds, the recent remake with Tom Cruise. Again, the aliens have invaded, and they're evil, they're bad. Now, it's interesting because in Independence Day and in what did I just say there earlier? Anyway, so you have a lot of different things coming in there. You've got elements of E.T. and Super 8, but then you have things like War of the Worlds and Independence Day, and those 4 films, 2 of them have one view of aliens, of course, and then the other 2 have a very different view of aliens. E.T. and Super 8 have kind of a positive view, obviously, of extraterrestrials. Even if the extraterrestrial in Super 8 has done some destructive things and even killed people, they kind of give you it's understandable because he was a trapped, caged animal, and he's been trying to go home. So that's really what he's doing. He's trying to get home. He's not trying to be mean and take over the world. He's just trying to get home. So give the guy a break, right? Give the alien a break. Whereas War of the Worlds and Independence Day are, hey, these people here are coming to wipe us out. They are bad, okay? So 2 completely different messages. One, you'll see, the aliens are bad, and we're really going to be up a creek without a paddle if they take over. So So those are just some, observations as well that I kind of throw into the big mix here. But so have you seen Stranger Things? If you have, what do you like about it? What's your takeaways? What other genres and maybe films or TV shows and of course if Gary's watching, comic books, graphic novels. Okay, I'll throw those in there for Gary. What are some of the elements that you kind of say, oh wow, this kind of reminds me of. Now, the reason why I bring all this stuff up is it reminds me of these different elements, isn't to trash on. Now, some people might legitimately say, well, all they've been doing is basically plagiarizing all these different ideas and themes and characters and kind of reintroducing them in their own story. Well, yeah, to some extent. I mean, stories have, you got to have certain characters, you got to have certain narratives. And in many ways, it's interesting. Like, for example, what I thought was interesting was that the two things that I thought were, at first, a little bizarre and thinking, what? And again, even though I don't think there was any really dead moments where you're like going, this is boring, there were some moments that had me scratching my head going, where are they going with this? But they kept it intriguing just enough for me to watch another minute or two, because that's all my attention span is these days. And for the two examples are the lights, the Christmas lights, and Will's map. At first I'm going, this is absolutely bizarre. But I kind of thought, isn't it interesting? Well, there's a couple little messages in there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a stretch, and of course, I have to say this, but in some ways, it's kind of like, the message of Christmas is communicating with people you love. The Christmas lights, I thought there's a subtle metaphor there for the beauty of Christmas, and it kind of connects us with people that are gone or lost. I'm just saying, I thought that was kind of that's my interpretation. You can take it or toss it, but that's what kind of came to me. It's like, well, that's a positive message of Christmas. I like that. That's not bad. And then the map that Will drew was kind of interesting because at first, again, with the lights and the maps and their painting, the interesting thing was that I guess in season 1, it was all the Christmas lights over. What's her name? I forgot the girl's name, the mother's name. But anyway, they put up all the lights in her house, and then they put up all the maps in her house. So her house is kind of this communication device in some ways. Excuse me. But then when they finally put the map up, at first it was like, what in the world is this? I kind of thought it might be a map of some kind, and sure enough, it turned out to be a map. But it was just kind of interesting because it wasn't just a map, it was a map of the town. And it was kind of weird because all of a sudden the Bob guy, I like the Bob character, the Sean Astin character. I was really hoping that he doesn't get killed because I think that'd be kind of a little bit of a, well, it's that's the only thing I think would happen. That would be a little too typical. Like you don't have to always kill the nice guy. See, always the nice guys get killed. It's like, you don't have to always do the nice guy gets killed. Let's say he makes it out alive. I kind of hope he makes it out alive. But anyway, but he recognizes the map. And he recognizes it as, this is our city. This is our town. And it was kind of just like he finally sees and helps everybody else to see what's really going on. Again, it's kind of a strange little analogy going on there, but the Christmas lights and the map are ways of communicating important things to us if we have eyes and ears to pick up on those things. So anyway, just saying that I thought that was an interesting element as well. Any other thoughts that came to me as I've been watching this wonderful little TV show? Again, I guess the critique would be, well, if it's made up of all these, remnants of all these other stories and TV shows and movies and ideas from other, using other, rehashed characters and themes and subplots and stuff, well then how does it work? Because 90% of the time when people try to take that kind of a formula and put it into a movie or a TV show especially, it bombs. And I guess that's my question is, why is it so actually appealing? Because again, it's blatantly there in your face. You can see all these elements and go, well, that sounds a little bit like I said, not Star Wars. Well, maybe there is some Star Wars elements in there. I'm sure there are. I just haven't seen them, or it hasn't quite flashed on my mind yet. But again, you can see the E.T. references and the Super 8 references. You can see the War of the Worlds references. You can even see Lord of the Rings. You can get senses of even of computer games. So you can say, well, all these are all borrowed things. Maybe it should be called borrowed things instead of Stranger Things. I don't know. But the reality is that it's, for whatever it is, it's very, very entertaining and very watchable. So again, if you get a chance to watch it and you can, sit through and have some on a holiday or a 3-day weekend and you've got nothing else to do, maybe you got the cold or the flu or you're just not feeling good, or, maybe your puppy ran away or something. I don't know, but, maybe you couldn't go wrong probably watching this little TV series. So hopefully my insights might have kind of given you something to think about, give you food for thought, maybe even piqued your curiosity about Stranger Things. Have fun. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time in the Upside Down.